the truth.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Grand rising, grand afternoon, kings and queens, grand rising. Peace, peace, peace to the chat. Peace to the chat. Okay, yesterday, or was it the day before yesterday? I did the Who Messed Up Hip Hop Part 1. So today is Part 2. Because I really didn't get a chance to go in. And when I say go in, just show a couple of things about who really messed it up. So I'm glad that today I'm going to be able to say a couple of things and do that. But before I go in, the first thing I have to do is shout out to my people. Riri, definitely nothing. Love, nothing but love. Gary's Garage, peace, what's good? China Black, peace, what's good? China Black's in the building. That's how we do. So Princess is in the building. So I'll probably just talk a little bit because I see the crew hasn't got in yet. So I'm gonna say, just talk about a couple of things. One of the things that I want to talk about is the coming up event, the originators of hip hop event. Okay, so we're in the process of making a couple of flyers for it. This is just a draft of some of the stuff to come. It's going to be hosted by Boogie Black, and we have a couple of big people that will be attending this event. So for all of those that don't know what's going on, is that this would have been my 7th tribute to Disco King Mario event. And we decided to change the names. Well, we're going to do it for this year and this year only, because we want to include Bronxdale and the Black Spades. So this year we're giving tribute to the originators of hip hop. And so we're digging deep this year as well. We're going to do a James Brown tribute. We're going to do an Ohio Players tribute. Of course, we're going to do the Disco King Mario tribute. And we're going to bring the funk. And when I say bring the funk, we're going to bring the funk back into this thing we call hip hop. We're going to bring the funk back into this thing called hip hop. So before, like I said, before I go in and before I say a couple of things, I just want you guys to understand why we changed the name and what the name change was all about. So basically, also what I would like to say is this year, like last year, we're actually going to the original jam. Okay, so for all of those that back in the 70s could not come to Bronxdale, we're going back to the first section in the basketball court right next to Mario's building. So for those that have known about hip hop, were there for the creation of hip hop, know that before we actually had a jam, that the building, the carriage room, the basketball court is where we used to play the music. So it's an honor to be playing in like the first part of the creation of hip hop as we know it now. So it's an honor. It's an honor to actually play in Bronxdale. So for those who are trying to look up and find out what Bronxdale is, they changed the name to Soto Manure. Soto Manure. I don't know. I'm just making a joke. But they changed that name to the houses. But for us, real Bronxdale people, we'll always call it Bronxdale. So if you look up Soto Manure houses, that's Bronxdale. And when you get to Bronxdale, which will be, it'll probably, I guess the address will be between Watson and Bruckner Boulevard and Rosedale Avenue. So write that down, keep that in notion. But anybody from the back in the days is going to tell you, if you go into Bronxdale, you go to Bronxdale. And Bronxdale is always broke up in first, second, and third sections. So we'll be in the first section in the basketball court. And we will, as soon as you get to Bronxdale anyway, from 1 to 6, you're going to hear the music. No matter what, you're going to hear the music and you're going to see people And so you're going to know exactly where it is. So just find your way to Watson Avenue and Rosedale Avenue, and you'll be there. You'll be a part of this. On Rosedale and Watson Avenue, that's Disco King Mario Way. So you'll definitely, if you get to Disco King Mario Way, then you will definitely be able to attend this event. Okay. So, like I said, we'll be giving tribute to James Brown and to the Ohio players, which some of you guys already know that Sugarfoot was my cousin. Leroy Bonner, he was my cousin. Rest in peace, Sugarfoot, from the Ohio players. So, on that note, we will definitely be given. For those who don't know who Sugarfoot is, he's the one that has the high top afro with the hair over his eye. That's Sugarfoot. Okay, so for those who really didn't study the Ohio players, that's Sugarfoot in the middle, and so we're definitely gonna dedicate a big part of the jam. That's him as I was older, and he actually came to my event, and so that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna actually pay tribute and pay homage to the Ohio players, and of course James Brown. Okay, so I'll put the flyer up one more time. You guys can take down the place where it's going to be. Bronxdale houses, and in the first section, basketball court. So you guys can make note of that. All right. So I see some other people have came in. Let me see who they are. Tyreek is in here. Peace. He's in here. And we probably have a couple of more people that are in here that don't want to acknowledge themselves, which we don't understand. We don't want to understand. You come here and you want to, I guess you want to be a part of it, but you don't want to be a part. You don't want other people to know that you're here, but you are here. So you might as well acknowledge and say that you're here. You might as well do that. Okay, so let's go. Let's go in. Let's go in. All right. So I guess when I left off the other day, I was talking about somewhat the fashion and what became the fashion of hip hop. And I was saying to those people what fashion that made the difference in hip hop. So we were talking about the stores and the manufacturers of these items, these clothing. And so we came to the conclusion that when the item first comes out, it's considered real. Like that's real when it first comes out. But then it's like now with bootlegging, right? So before, when Louis Vuitton first came out, the bag or whatever, it was real. It was real. They had real. But as it got popular, they began to bootleg it. And that's the same thing that's been happening for days. So when they actually made British Walkers, they came out with British Knights and British Apex, a different bunch of British, but they weren't real. They weren't the original ones. When they came out with Pro Keds, they had Pro Keds, but they just had a little bit. You could tell that they were different. The rubber came up further or back or whatever. The heel, was crooked or something. And when they went to those things to get that, they became not only cheap as far as the material was concerned, but they were cheap as far as the dollar amount was concerned, was talked about, was done. And so that's what's making it able for people to purchase it. Someone that couldn't purchase it when it was at the real stage, they could now purchase it at the fake stage. And a lot of that went on. Like when we were first getting sheepskins, they were probably the highest one was probably going to be about $300 and something. This is back in the 70s. When they started making the cheaper version of it, you might could get a sheepskin for $125, or even cheaper. And so just like now, you can go and you could get a real North Face. It's going to cost you about $500-$600. And you can go to the neighborhood market and get it for $100, $125. So that's what happened in hip hop. Hip hop fashion became watered down and it became bootlegged. The same thing I can say about dancing. The same thing I can say about dancing. And I'm so glad that Scoreboard Keepers played the video that showed what they were doing. Now, you guys, it's don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But it just shows that when the Puerto Ricans, right, and not just the Puerto Ricans, when other people came into hip hop, that you can tell the difference between the original and bootleg. And that's just 100% real. You could tell the difference. So when you hear people say 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, when you hear people say that, you have to give in consideration that there was time before that something was actually happening. So what was that it was actually happening? Well, you're looking at the originals, before it became fake, before it came bootleg. A prime example of that is music. I tried to explain the difference of a break beat and electronic, or just a slower tempo type of music. when you listen to the records that we use, like Cold Sweat, right? Or I won't say the other beats, but we'll just use James Brown's Cold Sweat with a stuttered snare drum. Using that break allowed a break dancer to coordinate each part of its body to that drum. And so when MCs started using that cadence, that became one of the ways that a MC would separate himself from another MC. Now, all MCs could not do that because what they did was they followed, and I have to say it, the nursery rhyme effect. So the nursery rhyme was based on words that rhyme that had somewhat of a melody that was consistent of a nursery rhyme. And you got to think of Mary had a little lamb, or whatever it was, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the. And so those were rhymes that were incorporated by the MC. So a person that now takes the same cadence as, let's say, Cold Sweat changes the demographics of that cadence of rhyme. And so a lot of people were not able to do that type of rhyme. And so that's why when you go back and you look at the MCs that actually made it in hip hop, you look at the ones that were Puerto Rican, and then you look at us, and you see that there was very, very little Puerto Ricans that could keep this cadence, if any. If any. I know them. I know them. I know the ones that was there, and I know what they were doing. But the problem is the problem is with now is that, so like I was saying about the younger people that don't get the story correct because they were fed these wrong stories. They don't understand why there was only a couple of Puerto Ricans in it, or they don't understand why there's there in the creation that there was no flyers, and they don't understand why fashion was a part of what everything was doing. So when you look at it, because this is something even my crew says something about. We talk about, what contributions did graffiti have with hip hop. And I always say this, I know they're going to get mad at me, but graffiti, yes, was there before we created what we call hip hop. And what it was this. You got to think about this. And I always say this in a lot of my things. If you go back and you look at a school desk back in the 60s right? And you look in the school desk back in the 60s, you'll see someone wrote their name, carved their name in the wooden desk. Or you'll see a book where somebody put their name in the book. Or you'll see in the bathroom where someone says they love somebody with a heart, their name, a heart, and the other person's name on the bottom of it. That's graffiti. There's no way you can say that that's not graffiti. When the Spades were putting the spade emblem on the wall, that's graffiti. That's graffiti. When someone is saying that you know which I saw this a long time ago, you know, someone hates somebody or someone, did something and they write it on the wall, that's graffiti. It is. That's graffiti. So when you say stuff like well, graffiti was a part of the creation of hip hop, I mean, graffiti was a part of everything: soul, jazz, rock, everything. Because at the time of these creations, graffiti was there, and you cannot deny that. So, which brings to people that say that, okay, well, Puerto Ricans were the first ones to do graffiti. They're wrong. That's just absolutely wrong. So if that's their contribution to hip hop creation, that's wrong. That's wrong. It's just, that's not right. So usually what I do is I say, okay, I take now, and I hate calling it elements. I really do hate calling it elements because it's element is just one portion, but it could mean different things. You could say water is water, but then you could call it H2O, or you could. So there's ice is water, frozen water. Um, so when I say part, meaning that one part of the creation of hip hop was music, who put the music on, and what music was playing. You see what I'm saying? So that's three things in one. Okay, so the DJ plays music and plays the music for hip hop. So that's three things. And so somebody would just say the element is DJing, or the element is breakdancing or whatever. So that's why I don't use just element. I don't just say just the element of it. So with that first part of it is the music. So without the music, you wouldn't have DJing. If it wasn't for the DJing, you wouldn't have the music being played. This being played. So the music part of hip hop in the creation was basically, I see, it's so hard to say. It's so hard to say, what these breaks are without giving it away, you know. But the music that was usually played for hip hop were music that you could actually get funky with. See, I don't want to call it danceable music because all of everything that is music you can dance to. Every piece of music you could, if you listen to opera music or you know, classical music, you could do the waltz to it. You could do the different dances to it. If you have country music, you can dance to the country music. Funk music, you dance to. Soul music, jazz, you can dance to. So all music is basically danceable music. So for somebody to say, "Oh, you know, that's danceable," that they're playing danceable music, that's far fetched because you know all music is danceable. So even slow jams, right? Y'all know y'all be dancing to the slow jams. Y'all know y'all be what y'all do when the slow jam comes on, you know? And so that's danceable music. What are you doing? You're dancing. That's just a fact. You're dancing. And so everybody that says, you know, oh well, they started playing danceable music and everything, you know, dancing music, house music, or you know, these fast tempo musics, they're leaving out the most important piece of that puzzle, which is dance. Our music that we use for what is called hip hop was based on a funky rhythm. That's the best way I can put it. A funky rhythm. And those funky rhythms that we based on usually had a drum solo. And those drum solos were the break. That was what we call the break. So the problem is that what kind of break what kind of solo were we using? So remember what I was telling you about how some people need to have a bunch of percussions and a bunch of bongos, congos, bells, triangles, shakers, you know, timbales, and all of these things incorporated together to actually be able to dance to. And that's just the look of it. It's just the look. So it's not about connecting to these rhythms, it's about the look of what it connects to because it doesn't connect to the rhythm. And so I said that the other day, and people questioned me, like, what are you talking about? They said, what am I talking about? Okay, so say, for instance, that you're spinning around as fast as you can go, right? What drum break, what part of the drum are you doing it to? What part of that break are you doing that to? And so if you, like we saw when we looked at that graffiti rock video, we saw when they were spinning around or when they were kicking their feet up on the floor or they were doing, you know, these things, you know, the electric boogie or whatever they were doing, it had nothing to do with the instruments or the break that should have been played for them as they were doing breakdancing. So we saw that. We saw that. We actually looked at that and we saw that that was not it. That's not what they were doing. And so that's why when they say that they took breakdancing and brought it against the world, around the world, ask them what part of the break did they dance to? What part of the break did they dance to? And they will not be able to tell you that. They will not tell. If you ask, if you even or see one of them dancing to Cold Sweat, you'll see it makes absolutely no sense what they're doing. Absolutely no sense, because none of it coincides with Cold Sweat by James Brown. None of it. If you look at them. Now, on Scoreboard Keepers, right? He showed a video of me, and he showed a video of Black. And he said that he's gonna change, he's gonna take my position of being a DJ, and he's gonna put his own record in there. And he did. And he was able to line it up directly to the moves that our movement. He took another record from another time and he placed it in there, and we were able to be on beat with it. We still be able to do on beat. If you take, and don't get, y'all asked for it, so I'm telling you, I'm keeping it real. If you take any of the crews, any of the Puerto Rican crews that danced, and you put a different record or any record to their dancing, you'll see that it doesn't line up, no matter how you did it. If you would have took the music off of Graffiti Rock and put another track behind it, you would see it's just moving around. It's just moving around. It has nothing to do with the beat. So I say, because I'm a dancer, because I'm a DJ, because I was into the stuff, I'm one of the creators, I'll say that that's what messed up hip hop. That's a part of what messed up hip hop, because if you're not dancing to the break, right? Because it's called breakdancing, but if you're not dancing to the break, why don't you call it classical dancing? Or why don't you call it country dancing? Or why don't you call it rhythm and blues dancing? Or why don't you call it, anything that you call it, you'll see that it's just movement with music on the background of it. That's it. If somebody can tell me different, if somebody can say, hey, FaZe, no, that's not what it is. If somebody can tell me different, please tell me. Tell me so I know, so I won't say that no more. If you could tell me, say that that's what it is, and I won't say that no more. But so far, everything I looked at the old Rocksteady clips and all of these other different, Wild Style, B Street, all of these clips and stuff I see the same thing. I see them jumping on the floor or jumping up and just making these different what they call moves, to anything, to anything. And I made a serious point the other day when I said that when you saw Blackjack dancing, if I had stopped the music, Blackjack would have stopped and looked at me like, yo, what happened? What you do? What you did? Like, what's up? Even if I did it off key, he was like, if I did a scratch or a cut that was off, then he would look at me like, yo, what? What you did? And that's because he was dancing to the break. He was dancing to the actual music. And that's what it is. He's dancing to the music. So if you're not dancing to the music, what are you dancing to? So that's where it's messed up. It's messed up because some people were able to see what we were doing and come in and say, make up what they were doing, but take our name. Because we named it. We named it breakdancing. So they came, saw what we were doing, made up what they wanted to do, and took our name, breakdancing. That's a pure fact. Hold on. Let me see. Yes. Gary's naming all the Ohio players stuff. Okay, Mr. T, peace, Phase. Okay, Ill1, peace to everyone in the chat. Peace. Phase, I remember having Easy Walkers. Easy Walkers. Oh, wow. Woo! Easy Walkers. So, Gary, I'm so glad that back in the days that you didn't come on our block with your Easy Walkers, because, oh my God, it would have been terrible for you. Okay, it would have been terrible. Okay. It's kind of like cocaine and crack. Cocaine was expensive. Crack was made inexpensive. Exactly, Tyreek. That's what it was. And so, we're talking about breakdancing right now. We were talking about that before, but in breakdancing, that's basically the same exact thing. So you can't really breakdance. So you substitute it with spinning on your head, or you substitute it with spinning on your back, or spinning around, or kicking your feet up, or whatever. And you substitute it. And so that's what it was. It's when they substitute what we were doing for what they were doing, that messed up hip hop. It just messed it up. And there's no other way to say it. And so I think that's where the problem comes in, is that because we're saying it, and we're saying, look, you guys messed up hip hop, and by stealing our name, breakdancing, why couldn't you have named it what you wanted to name it? Why couldn't you? And that's the whole part of it. Everything that we do, someone tries to come, copy it, and then if they can't copy it, they'll put their own thing to it and destroy it, basically, what was they're trying to copy. It happened with music. I bet you, out of all the people in this chat right now, except for the ones that maybe watch other channels like Scoreboard Keepers, believe that salsa was Puerto Rican. I bet you that the people in this chat believe that salsa was Puerto Rican. And so just like the person that always comes in and always trying to make something wrong with what we're saying, that person takes our culture, our everything, and tries to give it to his Puerto Ricans. And that's just how it is. So it looks like to us, like right now, people are probably looking at me and saying, "Yo, why are you down to Puerto Ricans? Why are you talking about Puerto Ricans? Why you?" And the reason why is because why should I still let someone continue to try to take what is ours, then take our name, then take our culture and say it's theirs? Why should I do that? Why would I do that? Okay, because when you say culture, knowing that when we created breakdancing, that's from in us. That's from our people, our elders dancing and feeling the beat and being able to show broadcast their moves. We were able to go to our parents, our aunts, our uncles, our grandparents, our cousins, and get their music and find the break in it and use it. So that's our culture. You get what I'm talking about, Tariq? You understand what I'm saying right now? If I'm saying it wrong, then please let me know. Peace, Michael Jenkins. What's good? Master Dawn. DJ Biggs is in the building. What up, DJ Biggs? What's good? Okay. Ill One says, my older uncle used to play in a jazz band, and he told me pink people in the 6Bs used to call it jackass music. And you're right. You're so right, Ill One. You're so right. And not only that, but our whole culture of hip hop in the creation was looked at as a fad, was looked at as didn't make sense. It was looked at as what were they doing? What were we doing? So when we were breakdancing, we expected everybody else to be able to dance that way. And that's just real. I could bring up my people and they'll tell you that was basically what we thought when we were young. And so a lot of people thought that what we were doing was stupid. A lot of people thought that. And because like everything else, and I use ProCads as a perfect example. This is a perfect example because yes, PF Flyers and BF Goodrich and all of those things, right? All of those sneakers were considered skips. That's all you can say is they were considered skips. And nobody wanted to wear skips. Nobody wanted to wear skips. Even if you were poor and you by chance got a pair of skips, you know that people are going to snap on you. You know that people are going to make fun of you. You know, because you have these skips on. But as soon as people, us, wear them with pride or wear them with with a coordination, once we do that, then it becomes, hey, maybe they're not skips. They're the same exact sneaker. But now they might not be considered as skips. And so I think from what I've seen in the years, that Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, Chinese, Arabs, all of these other pink people all wait until we give it the cool card. Our cool card is like an American Express. We could go anywhere. Our cool card. And so when they wait for our cool card, they'll say, oh, those are cool? Okay. And then as it goes by, they'll say that they were with us to make it cool. And then after that goes on for a little while, they'll go one better and say, not only were they with us, they were before us, and that's where we got it from. And this happens in history. You look at every single thing. Look at the baseball hat. Look at everything that we do, like our clothing, our shoes, everything. They'll wait for us to give it the cool card, the cool check, and then they want to be a part of it. They say that they're a part of it. And that's what happened the whole entire time with hip hop. So, right. Now, I'm going to give you guys some homework. I want you to go and look at any clips of Puerto Ricans breakdancing. And I want you to listen to the music that they so-called breakdancing to. Now, this is what messed it up. Because after the Puerto Ricans did start messing it up and doing breakdance that way, other people, some of us, not us really, but some of us looked at that and said that because they were in the cool conversation, that they're going to do that. And that messed it up. So now you got some people that are similar to us doing this nonsense, this foolish dance, And now people are looking at them like, yeah, they must be doing it because they're, that's just like, wow, this is the perfect example too. And I have to use the word black. I have to use the word black for this. So you could have an all white school, all pink school, right? All pink school. And their basketball team would suck. Never won a game in their life. Never. And one black person comes to the school and the coach goes, "Oh, yes, we got it now. We're going to win a championship. We're going to do everything." And go to the student and say, "Oh, you got to be on the basketball team. Oh, we have the best. Come on to the basketball team." And they get on a basketball team, and he never played basketball before. He never even held a basketball in his hand. And he goes, they got this big game coming up, and he goes to play the basketball, and he sucks. He's worse than the pink kids that's on the basketball team. That's what happened. That's what happened with us, So because they were us, they were considered whatever they were trying to do, cool. And that's what happened, people. That's what happened. That's what messed up hip hop. The fake breakdancing, the us using the fake breakdancing, the music of it. When they were dancing, they were no longer using the break part of the record. They were just using any part of the record to do flips and acrobats. I think Princess said it. Derek said acrobats, and that's what they were using. So that's all I wanted to say today. I wasn't going to go past an hour. I promised I wasn't going to go past an hour. And that's what I wanted to say. So far, part one, we explained about the fashion part of it and who was first and why it changed. Today, we're talking about the breakdancing part of it and how it changed. And tomorrow, we'll talk about the actual music. And then the day after that, I will talk about the MC. Okay, people? So it's been great, wonderful. Thank you, guys. I was broke as a kid phase. Oh, wow. Listen. I see Gary says that. But, being broke does not mean that you weren't constructive. Okay, and I mean that to the bottom of my heart. There was a ledge on our building, and we would take a Spalding ball and throw it, in a point or 2 points was when you hit the top of that ledge, that part, the light part. So if you look down south in places, and they'll take a milk crate and they'll cut it and make a basketball hoop out of it. Or, we had the first cell phones. Our cell phone was 2 tin cans with a string placed in it. That was our cell phones. The games that we played, that didn't take any money. We created those games and we played it. Just so many things that we didn't need money to have a wonderful, wonderful time. I said it in a couple of videos before about what we had. We had this lot, this abandoned lot. And in the abandoned lot, we basically could get anything. If you needed a whole bike, you could make a bike with the parts that were in that lot. If you wanted to make a go-kart, you could make it with the parts that was in that abandoned lot. If you wanted a dog or a cat, you would go into that lot and get a dog or a cat. You wanted a part for a car. You wanted a part for anything that you wanted. If you wanted to make a fan, if you got a fan out of the lot and it didn't have a plug, you'll put the plug on there and then you have a fan. Everything, because it's like a dump. And people just throw stuff in there and everything. So in those days, a lot of people were broke. A lot of people didn't have the money to do the things that they wanted to do, but actually found a way to do it. They actually found a way to do it. And that is just how it was. I could just remember, having a Spalding ball, and maybe you didn't have a broomstick, or maybe you didn't have a bat or something. So you would take the ball, hit it against the wall, go out, and somebody would either catch it or not catch it, and you would run the bases just like if you were playing baseball. And that's something that we did. We were able to do things because we had these constructive minds to think that. Well, like I said, when we got Pro Keds, they were skips. They were skips. They were the cheapest sneaker. But we turned that into a historical sneaker. And that's it. It's like, so we didn't have to have money somewhat to have fun or to be cool. Ill One says, I was to Gary's Garage. I only got 2 pair of pants and 3 shirts a year from Alexander's, but I overcame that condition. Now I'm retired and well off, maybe because I didn't have it as a child. Ill One, you're not by yourself, brother. You guys, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you that you could come out of those conditions and be successful. And a lot of people were. Okay, it's an hour. I can't go anymore. But listen, Mr. Successful Man, Ill One, go ahead and hit that Cash App. Go ahead, Gary, and hit that Cash App. And you guys hit that Cash App. Let me put that back up there for you guys. I'll leave it up there for a little while. Where we at, Riri? Where we at? There we go. Okay. And you make it do what it do. Okay. So yes, tomorrow I will be back with part 3 of who messed up hip hop. Peace.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.